Hi guys, my name is Lucas Yang and I apologize for this video being so late, but today I'm going to be running through part 1 of my many part tutorial of how to use Procreate for a majority of your art purposes. Today I'll be going over the tools in this top right section of Procreate. These are most of the tools that you'll be using the majority of the time that you're using the application. And in the far left of this top right section, you have the brush icon. And if you tap that, you have a variety of different brushes that you can choose to draw. And you have different sections of different kinds of brushes that you can use, such as sketching, inking, drawing, and more. And there's so many in each of these sections, and you can just test out and see which ones work for you. And I'm going to be showing you guys the brushes that I use personally next time, but this is just all the different brushes you're able to choose from. Also, you're able to use brushes from different applications such as Photoshop and export them to Procreate. Some fun fact. Right next to the drawing icon, we have this little finger pointing icon. And this is the smudge tool. If you imagine way back when you're in art class and your teacher has you draw a little pencil drawing and you use a piece of tissue paper or some kind of paper and you kind of blend out your pencil drawing. This tool is that, but to an extreme. And from here, you're able to choose a brush that you want to smudge with. My recommendation, if you don't know what you're doing, is to just use the same brush that you're using to draw. The sections are still the same, so you can find whatever brush that you're using in the drawing section very easily. And right next to the smudge tool, you have the eraser tool right in the middle. If you click that, you're also able to choose whatever brush that you want to use for erasing. However, I recommend just choosing whatever brush you want and just kind of testing out which one works for you. Any basic one can work. And right next to the eraser tool is the layer tool, which is the option that tends to throw most people off from digital art. It's the most useful tool you have, but it's also the most complicated tool that you have. So if you click this layer tool, it brings up a layer toolbar. And from here, the first thing you want to do is, if you want to add a layer, is press this top right plus icon. If I do that multiple times, you have multiple layers appear. And let's say you have too many layers or you want to delete one that you have already drawn on, you can swipe to the left and press this bright red delete icon. And let's say, for example, you're drawing an eye and you don't want to draw the eye 2 times and you have one eye on one layer, you can duplicate it. And to do that, you swipe right again, and right next to the delete icon, you have the duplicate icon, so you can duplicate that same layer so you don't have to draw it again. Within the layers tool, you have the option to group your layers. If you want to group your layers, all you have to do is swipe to the right on whichever layers that you want to group. And here I'm grouping 5, 4, 3, and right up in the top right, you have the grouping option. Tap that, and now you have a new label that says new group. And every single layer underneath that group is now controlled singularly by this new group label. If you want to hide everything that's underneath this layer, just click this check mark next to new group, and everything that is underneath new group is unchecked. That hides everything. If you want to make things reappear, just re-click that new group check mark and all the check marks reappear. That makes your layer and or layers reappear. Now that you have your groups or your singular group, what happens if you want to change the order of the layers within that group? So let's say I click layer 3. I'm going to draw with any brush. Just click a brush, go into the drawing section. I'm going to use this brush called Marilla, and I'm going to be choosing a nice blue color for layer 3. I'll go to layer 4, choose a different color, And then I'll go to layer 5 and pick a different color. And here, let's say I wanted to put blue on top of green. I would go into the layer tool again, and then tap layer 3 and hold it, and then move it above layer 4. And as you can see, the little drawn out blue circle is now above the green circle. Now, if you wanted to move the blue circle back below the green circle again, just tap your layer tool, and you can move layer 3 back down below layer 4. And as you can see, you'll notice a little indent between the layers that are within the group and ones that are outside of the group. And I just moved layer 3 outside of its original group. If I want to bring it back inside the group, just tap and hold it and just bring it right back inside, and there you go. And you're able to move layers freely within the layers tool. You can move them inside of a group, outside of a group. As you can see, just kind of toss it in there. You can kind of move it back up. Very simple. Just kind of move layers if you want to see things appear in different order. And that is the layer tool. Now, before we fully move on from layers, I'm going to show you guys something very interesting. So I'm going to delete this new group. And right below in this layers toolbar, you have a background color option. If you press that, you'll be brought up to your color wheel. And from here, you can choose whatever background color you want. So let's say I want to go for something like red. Bring it all the way back here, and I can make my background red. But what makes the background layer different from other layers is that you can't do anything with it. You can't remove it. Other ones you can. With the background layer, you cannot. So what do? If you change the background color and now you have no other options, what do? Well, Procreate has a very, very simple and unique way of undoing and redoing your mistakes. Let's say I wanted to undo what I just did here with this red background. Just get 2 fingers and just tap, and now your mistake is undone. It just brings you one step back. But let's say I want that mistake again, or want that same thing to come back. Just use 3 fingers this time and tap, and now that color returns. It's very simple, it's not very difficult, and this is a very, very useful tool for when you're drawing. And this is what separates digital drawing from actual physical drawing. And finally, I am now going to be explaining this farthest right tool of the top right section called the color wheel, or your color interface. So, as I stated previously, to get rid of this background color, just use 2 fingers, tap, and it goes away. And now we'll go into the color interface section. And here you have a variety of different options. It can be very overwhelming. However, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the mini tools within the color interface section. Right here, you have the history toolbar, and this displays the most recent color that you have used to draw. And I'm going to just draw with this strange pink and purplish color. As you can see in history, it now displays that as the most recent color that I have used. Now, I'm going to pick a different color, go with this tealish color, and I'm going to draw again, and go back into the color interface section, and now it displays that teal color as the most recent color that you have used. And as you use more colors, this history bar will go further down to the right, and once it reaches the end, that color will disappear. So, what happens if you reach the end of this history bar and you want to use a color that you've used previously? Well, Procreate has a very cool option where you can color pick right off the canvas. All you have to do is tap and hold on whichever color you want. And since I had the teal before, I'm going to go for this purplish pinkish color. And by tapping and holding on it and releasing, Now the color interface brings up that exact color as the most recent color that I have used, and you can now draw with it again. Easy, right? And now if I want to go back to this teal color, tap and hold again. And as you can see in the history section, it's back to the far left, and you can draw with that same color once again. Awesome. Now let's quickly get rid of all this clutter on our canvas. And how do you do that? Just get 2 fingers and tap on your screen, and now we have a blank canvas. So these sliders, the top slider is the thickness option. So if I go to my brush and I draw with the Marilla brush that I had before, there we go. And if I bring the slider up, when using Procreate, you'll be using these top 5 tools the majority of your time when in the application. However, in this left section, you have these 2 sliders. What these sliders do is change the thickness, which is the top slider, and the opacity, which is the dark and lightness of your brush, is the bottom slider. So for example, if I go into my brushes, I will use the same Marilla brush that I used previously, and with this thickness, just draw a straight line. There we go. And if I were to bring that slider down, now it appears much thinner. And similarly, if I bring this opacity slider downwards, the line appears much thinner and much lighter. If I want to bring the size back up, as you can see, the opacity is still down, but the size has increased. And these are very useful tools if you want to make bigger lines, smaller lines, shade a big section. There are a variety of different uses for these sliders, so please pay attention to these. Next time, I'll be going over these top left tools. These are much more complicated and deserve their own section, so I'll be saving that for next time, as well as going over the color palette section of the color interface. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you look forward to part 2 of this How to Use Procreate series. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.